Hello ladies, happy Thursday. So today, welcome, we are talking about powder hacks, and different ways you can use your powder and tips and tricks while in quarantine or just in general. Powder is usually something we all have on hand. So I want to show you a couple ways you can use it to help you in a couple different areas of your skin and your body, okay? So tip number one, we're gonna talk about translucent powder. If you're here live, say hello. I would love to see you. Drop an emoji or just a wave at me. And if you catch us in replay, type replay so I know you caught it. So the translucent powder I'm gonna show you first. Hello, Jolie, how are you? And the translucent powder, remember, it is translucent. It looks white, but it goes on completely neutral, and it can be used on all skin colors. So the tip number one for this is I'm going to use this little brush right here. My lighting is getting weird because I'm by a window. And this is just one of our powder brushes that comes in the compact. You can use this as dry shampoo in your hair. Just go ahead and line it through your scalp of your hair and find areas that you need to absorb oil. If you are out of your dry shampoo, use it as your dry shampoo. So that's tip number one. You can go through your entire hair and you can see how dark my hair is. It did not make my hair white. Look at that. It did not turn my hair white. So if you have oily scalp and you're out of your dry shampoo or you just want to be resourceful, use your translucent powder. Next, I wanted to teach you your translucent powder. The next hack is using the all-over powder brush. Now, let's face it, ladies, as the summertime is approaching, sometimes we hope we'll be able to leave the house again soon. And the lighting is so strange. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on. I think it's the sun outside is changing. So sometimes as we get hot, other parts of our body perspire, and sometimes we're wearing a dress, maybe your legs get sticky, right? So my other tip is taking your all-over powder brush, dipping it in your translucent powder and dusting the inner parts of your legs, of your thighs. That will just help the legs not brush up against each other, or if you get hot and sticky, it just won't stick as much. So that's just another tip you can use translucent powder for, because it's very soft and silky, so it won't be uncomfortable on your legs to get chafing, okay? So those are the two tips I have for you using the translucent powder. Dry shampoo and helping your skin not stick and chafe next to each other in the hot summer months. So now we're going to go on to pressed powder and mineral powder hacks. So one of my favorite things to do with mineral powder, remember mineral powder we talked about yesterday, it's a foundation in powder form. You use it as your foundation, or you use it on top of your CC cream or foundation for additional coverage. I don't have any powder on right now, just my foundation, but I have a little bit of rosacea right here, which can also tend to look like a blemish. So one of the things I love to do with mineral powder, especially if people have blemishes that are they might be broken open, okay? And you're trying to do your makeup and your blemish might be broken open. I take a little bit of this on my finger and I just tap it, like press it onto the area that I want to cover extra, and it makes a great additional cover up for the blemishes. So you see how I kind of covered it up more? I don't have a lot to cover up today, but a lot of times if they are open because you've been fussing with them, they're also painful. So you need to, they're broken open, and so the skin is actually, like, the concealer isn't necessarily sticking to it because you've picked your face too much. Using a powder over it, just tapping it with your finger, just that little area will help give you additional cover up. So that's a great tip for the mineral powder. So now let's talk about pressed powder and mineral powder additional uses. So did you know you could use your mineral powder and or pressed powder as your highlighter on your face as well as on your eyes? So I'm going to transition over to my all-over powder brush. Hey Lisa, hey Tiffany, hi Mrs. Gray, my old principal when I was in middle school and high school, I think at least middle school, is joining me live. So hi Mrs. Gray. So I'm using my all-over powder brush, and you can just take any mineral powder or pressed powder that is a lighter shade. So I'm kind of like an ivory 2 shade right now. So I'm going to use a really fair shade. I'm going to use this right here. It's actually a lighter powder, and I'm going to use that in the inner corners of my eyes right here as a highlighter right through here, and I'm going to use it through my brow bone. Now, why would I choose to do this versus eyeshadow? Okay, so here's the tip I have for you. I would choose to use that as my highlighter versus eyeshadow highlighter. Number one, I'm out of my favorite color. Number two, I have textured skin and I want as matte as possible. So using the powders is obviously matte. Number three, you're a minimalist. You want to use what you have on hand and you want to keep it simple. And number four, I would say you want it to be a sharp, bold brow bone without it being like really, really bright. So you want it to be, you know, matte, standing out, but you don't want it to be coming forward too much. So maybe you have a deep set eye, this would be a great tip. And maybe you also want to keep your color and your crease as the focal point. So using the powder as your highlighter is going to help you do that. So now my favorite thing to do with powders is using them as highlighters and contours. So, you know, when the Kardashians came on the scene and blew up the whole contouring scene. It's funny because several of our makeup artists, you know, they work in LA with celebrities and they also train us. And so they have interaction with some of these people and they always, the ongoing joke is, you know, that type of highlighting and contouring is extreme. If you saw them in person, you see every stripe and every line on their face. Driving down the street, they'd scare you. So one of the things that I was taught by these makeup artists, there's two of them in particular that work with us quite frequently, and that is Hollywood style of highlighting and contouring. It's actually quite beautiful. It's not that heavy highlighting and contouring. So, you know, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can definitely highlight and contour anytime, any way you want. And you don't have to, you know, just because you might be a certain age doesn't mean you can't highlight and contour, is my point. However, if you do have texturized skin and you don't like a lot of shimmer on your skin, this might be a great alternative way for you to highlight and contour because you won't have the additional shimmer on your skin. So I'm gonna show you how to highlight and contour. It's simple. I'm gonna use this same little powder brush that I used before, and I'm gonna use a lighter shade of mineral powder as my highlighter, and I'm just going to tap it right through here on each side of my face because you highlight on your upper parts of your cheekbone right through here, okay, and you highlight right here. So I'm just going to do it simple. A lot of people think it has to be very, very, very detailed. I'm kind of like, think of your chin as like almost like a triangle, like a V right through there, okay? And I'm going to put a little bit more on this side, I think. I think I need more on this side. There we go. Oh, getting it in my hair. That's okay. I'm going to switch my brush. So I'm using the all over. This is easier for me. It's the Mary Kay 3-in-1 cheek brush. But can you see how it brightened me up? And it didn't add any shimmer. So if you have that concern, that's a good tip for you. Now I'm going to switch over to my crease. This is my smudger brush. And I'm going to go ahead and do the lines down the center of my nose. I'm going to do it with pressed powder. And you just go, it's a pointy brush. So I'm just going down the center of my nose. I'm not going all the way to the tip because I don't want to make my nose look larger. So I'm just stopping right here, okay, with the line. Now I'm switching over to my all over powder brush, and I'm going to highlight above my brows because, again, remember, highlighting brings things forward, contouring brings things away. Just think of it as when you wear white, you might look larger. When you wear black, you look smaller. So the areas you want to enhance and look brighter and come forward, that's where you highlight. So I'm going to also take the all over powder brush, and I'm using the mineral powder for this just because it's right in front of the camera, but you could use it with pressed powder too. And how do you pick that color? You go 1 to 2 shades lighter than your skin color. So if you have more than 1 shade of powder because you changed skin colors summer and winter, this would be a great solution for you. So I'm highlighting right here above my brows with I'm actually using probably 2 shades lighter in mineral powder through under my brow bone right through here. The other place I can highlight is I'm going to use this with pressed powder and kind of do fanning up stripes up through my, like the base of my bridge of my nose up through here. And that's another place to highlight your face, right through here, okay? So now my highlighting is pretty much done, except for one spot right here is called, this is called the, oh, not the widow's peak. It's something, I lost my train of thought. But I'm gonna put a little bit of powder right here, okay? This is the other place to highlight, okay? It kind of just makes everything pop. So now I'm gonna switch over to contouring. So I'm gonna contour my face, and I'm gonna use 1 to 2 shades darker of either mineral powder or pressed powder. I'm gonna go ahead and use the pressed powder because I think it's gonna be less, it'll be easier to see so I can kind of see. So when you contour, you go under your cheekbone, okay? Right here's your cheekbone, and you're gonna kind of go up, like you're going like a line up towards your, so one of the things you can do is take this brush that I have, it's the 3-in-1 cheek color brush. I'm using the tip of it. If you can see, it's kind of like flat on one side. And I'm just going under my cheekbone like this. You can also kind of squish it if you want and dab it, but you can see how that gave me a more defined line on that one side of my face, okay? So if I want it darker, I would just go do more of that, okay? And I'll blend it, I'll make sure it's blended, but this is a softer way to highlight and contour. It's a more beautiful, lighter contouring option for your skin. I'm gonna also contour through my hairline right through here. And I switched over to mineral powder for this, just 'cause I'm trying to show you how you can use both options, both ways. Down through my jawline. And the reason why this looks softer is because the powders are soft, they're lighter. And they're not as deeply pigmented as having stripes all over your face. So if you're new to highlighting and contouring, it's a great start for you. Since this side's already contoured, you can see it right there, I'm gonna add some cheek color. So I'm just gonna show you what it looks like with some cheek color added as a complement, because I already highlighted and contoured that one side. So you can see right there, do you see the difference in how this side looks more chiseled than this side? You know, it looks more contoured right through here. So that's what contour does. It gives you a more chiseled look. And then I'm gonna also do the contour down my nose. So I'm using 2 shades darker of powder, just going straight down my nose, just like so on each side, just like that. Just like that. And remember guys, it doesn't have to be like completely perfect because you're gonna blend it out. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and just blend this a little bit so that it's not like looking like I have lines on my face, okay? And then that is the highlight and contour option for using the powders. Isn't that easy? I'm gonna make my other side match so I don't have one side contoured and I may forget throughout the day. Does anybody have any questions? Hey, Jeanette, can I use the bronzer? So you do not, it's a great question. Somebody asked a question about using bronzer to contour with, and that answer to that is no. Bronzer is not a contour. Bronzer is something that you will want to use to give yourself more color, a healthy glow, and enhanced, like a sun-kissed look. So bronzer goes more like on your cheekbone area, kind of like where the sun would naturally kiss your face, but it's not a contour. Contours typically are matte, and bronzers typically are not matte. So that's one of the reasons also why you don't want to contour with bronzer. So you can see the difference. Like this side has just the contour and the highlighter right through here. This side has contour, cheek color, and highlighter. And what's great about this is you can always go back and add more highlighter if you need to. If you feel like you want to make that part of your face a little brighter, you can always go back through it. But because I'm using powder, if you have texturized skin, you know, sometimes people get collection through here, right here. Sometimes people get like they feel like they look aged through there. I hear people tell me that all the time. You can go ahead also and put your powder under your eyes to set your concealer and your under eye corrector, okay? I'm just using a fluffy brush right here and setting my under eye corrector and powder. Isn't that easy? So it won't add any kind of creasing or wrinkling because our powders are so finely milled and light on the skin. They buff away imperfections versus sitting in them. So it's one of the reasons why I love them so much. Yes, Jeanette is also asking if you can use a lighter or darker concealer to do the contouring or and highlighting. You can. My preference is to use the powders because, again, we are everyday women and we look, I'm just blending, I feel like this side looks darker. I feel like when you use concealers, because concealer is more concentrated, it's a thicker consistency. It's supposed to hide which you don't want to see. I feel like it can sometimes look a little bit more heavy on the skin. I feel like we're leaning more towards the Kardashian way of doing things versus the beautiful, soft, light contouring and highlighting way of going about it. There's certainly nothing wrong with that to try it, but I personally like using powders over concealer. But you can certainly do it. I just want to encourage you to go lighter than heavier. Hey Tulsi, how are you? Any other questions anybody has that for highlighting and contouring? Thanks for tuning in, ladies. So that is my couple tips for powder uses in addition to all the things I shared with you this week. Tune in tomorrow. I'm going to be sharing with you some extra oil absorption tips because I know there's some oily girls out there, or you just get a little bit more oil in certain areas of your skin, or in the summertime your skin shifts completely. So we're going to cover that tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. And if you got my email yesterday, I am doing my Quarantine Queen must-haves party tonight on Zoom. So if you want that information and you didn't check your email, check your email. I sent it to you last night, and I look forward to seeing you tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, ladies.